If you are in the position where you're looking for your first job, whether it be articles or graduate programs, whatever the case may be, today we're going to be talking about how to prepare for that job interview. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Precious Notiko. Here I create content on academics, careers in finance and wellness. I'm very excited to be doing a sit down video. I feel like I haven't done this in a while and I really enjoy doing sit down videos. So today we are going to be talking about preparing for an interview. As you guys know, I'm doing my postgraduate diploma in financial management this year, and I'm looking for a graduate program or articles for next year. I've done a couple of interviews this year, and I think I have some tips and tricks that I can share with you guys to prepare for an interview. You need to look out for some red flags when it comes to interviews. We don't want to be scammed. I don't want any of you guys to be scammed. So let's talk about that for a moment. First of all, when you receive that call, that email, that SMS that tells you that you are being invited for an interview, if you have applied for the job, then you need to verify that this email or message is from the company itself. If you haven't applied for a job in that company and they just suddenly tell you that you have an interview scheduled and so on, that might be a red flag. It might be an indication that they're trying to scam you. Most of the time for us graduates, you're not going to be headhunted and just be given an interview on a silver platter. Usually you apply for the job and the recruitment process goes on. Depending on how the company does it, you might do psychometric assessments first before you get into the interview, or it might be the other way around, depending on how the company does their things. But in any case, you need to have applied for the job first. So if you haven't applied for it and they just tell you that you have an interview, probably it's a red flag. Another red flag is if the time and location is not indicated on the email. Maybe it's an error, but for me it's a red flag. If you have to ask what time is it, what location and so on, it might be an indication of maybe they are just not competent in terms of how they go about with their process in terms of professionalism. In my opinion, this is my opinion. If the place is dodgy, then it might be a red flag as well. I was watching this other TikTok and this lady said she got an interview invitation and the location was a KFC. And for me, that looks dodgy unless you're going to be working at KFC. Imagine it's a company, it's an accounting firm, and they say that the location of the interview is going to be at some dodgy place. Not that KFC is dodgy, but I'm just saying that it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right. It has to be at their offices or online or something like that. And another red flag, and this is my opinion, that if they tell you a couple of hours before the interview that you have an interview, for me, that is a red flag. And let me tell you why. I feel like that is an indication that the company does not respect your time and they might not be professional. Maybe they should have sent this email 2 days before, but they didn't, and they just tell you tonight that you have an interview tomorrow morning and it's on location interview. That's a red flag. So those are the red flags that you should look out for. Please make sure that you're not scammed. Look up the company, see that the email is actually from the company, it's legit and so on. So that's all I'm gonna say about red flags. So now preparing for the interview. So you've got the email, you're invited for an interview. Make sure that you read that email very, very carefully. I know you're very excited, as you should be, but make sure that you read so that you know the fine details. What time is it? Is it online or in person? If it's in person, where's the location? How far is it from you? How are you going to get there? So those are the kinds of things that you're going to be thinking about first before you get too excited. And then also, if it's online, make sure that you are familiar with the platform that they're using. They could be using Google Meet, Teams, Zoom, whatever the case. Make sure that you are familiar with the platform that they are going to be using. You know the time, the date, and everything, so that you can be on time, which is very, very important. Be on time. If it's an online interview, log into that thing at least like 5 minutes before the interview. If it's in person, go to that place or be at the location about 15 minutes before, making sure that you know you are at ease, you feel good, and so on. Talking about feeling good, oh, my hair though. Okay. Okay, so guys, I've written my notes down here, so that's why I'm going to be looking down. Is research the company. Like an interview is almost like prepare for it as if you're preparing for a test. Research the company, go to the company website. Usually, if you go to the career section, it will tell you why you should join us, tell you about the culture and what to expect if you're going to be joining this company. Or you can go to the about section of the website that's going to tell you more about things like their values, what they do, what products do they have, what services are they offering, and so on. So look up the company, write those things down, those keynotes, so that you know their culture and try to get to know them. So that's the one side of it. Go to their website. Then also you can go to LinkedIn, go to the company LinkedIn and see what they usually post about, or you can go to their Instagram even if they have an Instagram account. Go and look up what they are up to, how, like, just to get a picture of the kind of company, or to get a feel of the kind of company that you are going to be getting into. So that's very important. And you can also look up like news articles that are surrounding this company. I mean, this, remember that an interview is a date. See it as a date, right? It's two-sided. When you go to a date, the guy is trying to see if you guys are going to work out. You're also trying to see if your relationship with this guy is going to work out, right? So if it's a date, it's not gonna be one-sided. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, in this day and age, when it comes to a first date, you're going to look up the person on Instagram. You're going to look up what they're up to, like, so you can see what kind of things they post. Those are the things that are going to be conversation starters, right? So you'll be like, oh, so you know, I saw on your Instagram the other day that you went out for hiking. Is that something that you're interested in? I mean, don't stalk the person. Okay, we're not talking about dating, we're talking about interviews. But I mean, there are a lot of similarities. That's why I'm using the dating analogy. Go and look up what news articles surrounding the company have been, so that you can see what kind of things they've been up to, so that it can be a conversation starter for the date slash interview. Okay, and then now, while on the point of researching, you need to also research the people who are going to be interviewing you. So there are 3 different types of interviews that I have seen in my experience. There's the screening interview, there's the culture fit interview, and there's the technical interview. Usually the screening interview is done by a recruiter or the HR personnel. They're usually going to like ask you questions like, tell us about yourself. They're trying to see what kind of a person you are. And then the culture fit interview is trying to see if you're going to fit into their culture. And then the third one is more on the technical side, where maybe you're going to be interviewed by the person that you will be reporting to. They're going to ask you like technical questions like, explain to me a concept in accounting that is difficult to understand, or what is your understanding of derivatives, or what is your understanding of a first 15? Can you explain to me how you would account for this? Those kinds of questions that are trying to see if you know your stuff. Those are the technical questions. Okay, so depending on the interview that you're preparing for, you're going to be looking up the people that are going to be interviewing you. So you're going to look up the recruiter, how long have they been at the company, and so on. That's going to give you a good idea of what you can expect in the interview. And how do you do this research? LinkedIn. Guys, if you're not on LinkedIn as a young professional, as a student, please get into LinkedIn. That's really where you get a lot of things. You get to see what this person is interested in, what they like, what they're up to on LinkedIn, depending on how much they post, obviously. But this is going to give you a good idea, right? Especially for the technical interviews. I think the preparation of researching their LinkedIn is very, very important for the technical interview. And I'll give you an example of how I prepared for a technical interview using LinkedIn. So I went onto LinkedIn and I looked up the people who are going to be interviewing me. And how I found their names is because they were CC'd on the email that invited me for the interview. If they're not CC'd, or if you don't know who they are, you can ask the person who sent you the email. Usually the HR personnel is going to be the one who's going to answer you, who's going to be actually interviewing you. You can ask that question, by the way. You can ask them like, who's going to be interviewing you? You go to their LinkedIn, look up their names, look up their pictures, so that their profile picture, so that you can see what they look like. I'm laughing because my friend was like, I'm a stalker for doing that. I'm like, no, actually, I want to see their face so that when you see them in the interview, you know who is who. Let's say you're going to be interviewed by 4 people, and there's Jack, there's Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. So Jack is the HR person. So when you greet Jack, you say, good morning, Jack. Mr. Jack. Okay, let's be professional. Good morning, Mr. Jack. Good morning, Mr. A. Good morning, Mr. B. That in itself is a point. That in itself is showing that you are prepared for that interview. You're going to be blowing their minds off by just greeting them by their name, because it shows that you know who they are. That is impressive, right? Okay. And then another thing is, it's not just about the name, it's also so that you can see what they studied. For the technical interview especially, you can see what they studied, what their current position in the company is, how long they've been at the company. This is going to help you with asking questions, so that you can ask them like questions that are specific to them. I'll give you an example of a question that I asked. There was one of the people who were interviewing me who had been in the company for 20 years, and I asked him like, so you've been in the company for 20 years. What do you think has kept you in the company for 20 years? And what keeps you excited to keep to stay at the company for this long? Or how has your career progressed in the company? And questions like, let's say someone has been there for a couple of months. You can ask them something like, how have you experienced the culture of ABC Limited to be, and how has it matched up to the expectations that you had before entering the company? I mean, that is already impressive, but remember, this is not just about impressing them. This is a date, so that you can see if this company is a good fit for you as well. They're trying to see if you're a good fit for them, but you're also trying to see if they're a good fit for you, right? So make sure that you research the people, and it's so impressive. Let's say someone wrote an article, and you find this on LinkedIn, that this person wrote an article about the benefits of using a combination of debt and equity when it comes to financing projects. And you found that article very interesting, or the influence of artificial intelligence when it comes to the property industry. So you found this article very interesting, and then when they say to you, can you ask, do you have any questions for us? You're like, yes, actually, I do have a question for Mr. B, because you know Mr. B, right? Because you've researched Mr. B, you know who Mr. B is. Say, Mr. B, you've written an article recently where you were talking about the use of artificial intelligence in the property industry, and I found that very intriguing. One question that I asked myself while reading the article is this. Already they're like, wow, okay, this person came in prepared. So you want to do that. Make sure that you know who's going to be interviewing you thoroughly, guys. Thoroughly. You know who they are, what they studied, what their current position is, because it's going to help you to prepare the questions. And the third point that I have or I don't know, it's not a third point. I'm sure I've said a lot of other points, but the next thing that I'm going to advise you guys on is use ChatGPT. If you haven't used ChatGPT before, please do. If you know me personally, you know that I am a lover of AI. I'm a lover of technology, and anything that's making our lives easier, I'm for it. And AI is making our lives easier for preparing for interviews. So you're going to go to ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT that you have been invited for an interview for this position at this company. This is the job description. What questions can I expect? You're going to ask ChatGPT that. What questions can I expect? And then ChatGPT is going to say, okay, so these are the questions you can expect. This is you preparing for that interview. You're preparing, okay, tell us about yourself. When they ask you, tell us about yourself, you're not like, what do you want to know? No, because you've already prepared for the interview. So you use ChatGPT to get potential questions, and also use ChatGPT to get potential questions that you can ask the panel or the person that is going to be interviewing you. You can tell ChatGPT something like this. I'm going to be interviewed by Mr. B, who has been at XYZ Limited for 20 years, and this is their current role. And what questions can I ask them? ChatGPT is going to tell you what you can potentially ask. And you can also say, okay, what questions can I ask at the end of the interview? Which leads me to my next point, guys. When they ask you, do you have any questions for us? Do not say no. Do not say nothing from my side. This is not the time to say nothing from my side. You're going to say nothing from my side when you start working. Now, you always have a question. You always, at least 3 questions that you have prepared beforehand, that you're going to be asking the panel or the person who's going to be interviewing you, so that you can also know, one, it shows that you are interested in the role and that you are prepared. And it also shows them, it also allows you to know the company. Remember, guys, I'll say it again, it's a date. It's not just about them trying to get to know you. You're also trying to get to know them. So this is why it's very important to ask questions. Ask the questions at the end of the interview. You can ask questions like, so what is the company's view on diversity and inclusivity? What is the company culture like? What is the potential career progression for someone in this role? Those are the kinds of questions you can ask. You can even ask more specific questions when you've done your research of the panel or the person who's going to be interviewing you. Another thing that is very, very important, at the end of the interview, do not leave without asking, when can I expect feedback, or when can I hear more from you, or something like that. That's very, very important, so that you can also just know you're not in the dark in terms of how long you're going to have to wait for you to hear back from the company. And also so that you're just not nervous that, okay, maybe if they don't say something, then it means it didn't go well. I'm sorry if this video was a little all over the place. It's just that I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say when it comes to interviews. Those are the tips that I have for you guys. I want to make a part 2 of this, where we'll be talking about how to prepare for the actual questions and how to control your nerves in the interview. So if you guys would like to see that video, please comment down below that please make a part 2, or we want to the interview preparation questions video, and I will drop it after this one or in the next couple of weeks, and I will do that for you guys. If you guys would like to know more, or if you'd like us to have another conversation about interview preparation, please comment down below. Like this video, please subscribe. We are almost at 500 subscribers. Almost there, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.